Good morning, everyone. My name is Lucille Karatzas, and I'm a member of Transition Life Consultants, and I'm here to talk today about loving yourself and being your own Valentine. Um, Tomorrow is Valentine's Day, and I wish you all a happy Valentine's Day, however you celebrate it. So, what is Valentine's Day? Valentine's Day is traditionally a way to celebrate love and affection for the people we care about. Who do we care about the most? Who is the person that you have known the longest in your life? I'm going to give you a second to think about that. I'd like you to, in your head, think about the person you have known the longest. And hopefully, that person is someone you enjoy being with, someone that you respect, someone that you care about. Now, you may have different answers to that question, but I'll tell you the correct answer. And most of the time, I don't think in terms of black and white. But in this case, the person you have known the longest is you. You have known your parents for a period of time, from birth on, in many cases. Some of you have adopted, so they may not have known their actual parents, but they may have families that have adopted them. You may have siblings, you have friends, you may have a spouse, a partner, but the person you've known the longest is you, yourself. So I'm hoping that when you think about loving someone, you begin with you. So Valentine's is a day that I would like you to think about as a way of celebrating yourself, whether you're in a relationship or not, whether you have really important Valentine's people to celebrate with. Start by celebrating you. Celebrate who you are. Do we need a specific day to do this? Valentine's Day, February 14th, is a good way of reminding us that we have special people in our lives and that we need to honor love in all its forms. But why do we limit that to February 14th? It would be nice if we treated each other as Valentine's year round. And what if we're alone? What if we've recently experienced a loss? Valentine's Day may feel quite different under those circumstances. So I applaud you for being here in order to learn about loving yourself as a Valentine. So as I was preparing this presentation, I really wanted to think about the pros and cons of Valentine's. And there are some in both categories. Some of the pros are, again, it allows you a special day to strengthen your bonds with loved ones. And again, I'm going to beat this horse to death by making sure that you understand that one of the loved ones in your life should be you. It creates memories. We think back to Valentine's Day. As a child, my parents used to buy us a box of chocolate in heart-shaped. And it was, back then, we didn't have dessert after every meal, and we didn't have candy in the house all the time, as we tend to do now. It was a special occasion. And so that red Valentine box was something we really looked forward to. And that, just thinking about that makes me feel warm and cared for. So we create our own memories around all the occasions in our lives. And so this day just gives us an opportunity to do that in greater depth. And another pro is that it can reignite passion and affection. And so sometimes on our day-to-day life, we take people for granted. We don't mean to, but we get busy with all of our day-to-day activities, and this makes us pause and really focus on who the people we care about are. Now, the cons to Valentine's Day is the commercialism. My husband calls it a Hallmark holiday, and he doesn't like to celebrate Hallmark holidays. He prefers to show his affection 365 days a year. And quite frankly, I would much rather have that kind, affectionate person 365 days a year than someone who buys me flowers and doesn't pay a whole lot of attention the rest of the year. So commercialism is a big part of the cons of Valentine's Day. And there's a pressure to spend money, to have expectations that oftentimes are unrealistic. And so it can overshadow the actual sentiment of the day and lead to stress, anxiety, and even financial strains. And then there are mental health issues. It may exacerbate feelings of loneliness, isolation, and feelings of unworthiness. If you have had some bad experience in your love life, these can be triggered by this holiday. So one of the things we want to do is really minimize the negativity and focus on how we can celebrate this day in a positive way. So how do we become our own Valentine? It sounds like it was a cute title, a good idea, but how do we actually do that? And so we do that by self-love practices. Be kind to yourself. You are as worthy of being kind to as the best person you know. So don't treat yourself less than your best friend. Practice self-care. Self-care comes in many ways. It means being healthy, taking the time to exercise, taking care of your body, taking a break when you feel stressed, doing things that make you feel good. Practice self-compassion. Don't be critical of yourself. If you hear that little critical voice that we all have, you can stifle it to some degree. I think about All in the Family, the TV show, and how Archie used to tell Edith, stifle. Well, sometimes when I hear myself having some negative self-talks, I tell that little voice to just stifle so that I feel more compassion for myself. We all make mistakes. We are not the mistakes that we made. We learn from them. Mistakes can be a really positive thing. It allows us to grow. Practice self-acceptance. I don't have to be perfect. My goal is to be the best I can be. And I try to do that on a day-to-day basis. So, be accepting of the whole person you are. How you are, how you feel, how you interact with people has lots of background to it. Some of it comes from bad parenting in some cases, good parenting in some cases. So accept yourself as you are and grow from that point on. It is okay to set boundaries. As a matter of fact, it is important to set boundaries. Don't allow people to take advantage of you. Sometimes we're not even aware that that's happening. So if we pause a little bit and say, wait a minute, this doesn't feel right. I feel like I'm being manipulated. I feel like somebody is expecting me to be who I am not. We can set that boundary for ourselves. And, let me think about that. Somebody asks you to do something you're not comfortable with. One of the best things you can do is pause and say, let me think about that and get back to you. There's absolutely no harm in that. Celebrate the small wins in your life. If you have a goal and you're working towards that goal, every little step you take is something to celebrate. Sometimes it feels like 2 steps forward, 1 step back, but as long as you keep working towards your goal, celebrate the small steps. Eventually, you will get there. Growth comes in waves. So celebrate every little step you take that makes you move towards your goal. Excuse me. Feel your feelings. You have the right to all of your feelings. I've always said feelings are neither right nor wrong, they just are. So if you feel hurt, allow the hurt to sit there for a minute and then allow yourself to let it go. If you feel sad, Valentine's Day may be a day that you feel sad. Allow yourself to feel that sadness for the moment and then allow yourself to move on. Allow all of your feelings all of the time. You don't want to necessarily dwell in all the negativity that may come at you, but if you don't at least acknowledge it, it will become greater. It will take over, and you don't want that in your life. Take risks. Believe in yourself. People sometimes are afraid to try new things because they fear failure. My perception of that is you fail yourself if you don't even try. So taking a risk, it may not always work out. And if it doesn't work out, you say, okay, I gave it a try. Pat yourself on the back for trying. But take risks, do things that you a little bit out of your comfort zone. Sometimes they'll work out, sometimes they won't, but you've at least tried, and there's pride and satisfaction in that effort. And practice empathy. Empathy is the ability to put yourself in somebody else's shoes and feel where they're at. Well, you need to be empathetic towards yourself as well. The more you're kind to yourself, the kinder you can be to other people. This is very, very important. You don't need to be in a relationship in order to be happy. Happiness comes from many sources in life. And personally, I like to think of contentment as a goal rather than happiness. Happiness to me is a byproduct. If you are content, if you're satisfied with yourself, if you're satisfied with something that you've achieved, then you can feel content. And that sense of contentment can lead to happiness. And so, how do we find that? Well, we can find it through friendships. Some of our most important relationships are our close friends. These are the people we feel that we can be ourselves with. So that is critical to a good self-esteem. Finding contentment in hobbies. Again, going back to challenge yourself a little bit. If you've always wanted to try painting, try it. You don't have to be Picasso or Rembrandt. You can be the best painter you can be. And if you don't like it, you can say, I tried, and let it go. So hobbies are a good way of improving your sense of happiness and contentment. Personal growth, same idea. When you risk, when you try new things, you grow. You learn from other people. I post on our Facebook page, TLC dash services in the villages every day. And today's post was learn from other people's mistakes. You'll never live long enough to make them all yourself. And I think that's kind of tongue in cheek, but it's true. Learn from other people so that you can grow. You can learn from other people's experiences. Being charitable is another way to be happy and content. You can be charitable by donating to your favorite cause, donating time. Time is probably more valuable in some cases. Time is something that once you give it away, you never get it back again. So when you give someone the gift of your time, either volunteering or being kind or doing errands for someone, you are being charitable. So think about charity as all the things you do that enhance other people's well-being, whether it's financial or with your time and efforts. Being observant is another way to experience happiness. One of the things that I often find with my clients is that, by the time we get to be our age, we're almost on automatic pilot, and we may miss out on seeing some of the beauty around us. I've often told people, go for a walk and look for everything you see that's pink on one walk, or notice the different shades of green. When you start really being in the moment and observing nature in all of its beauty, you get an inner sense of peace and happiness. So being observant is a really good way to enhance your happiness. Now, if you're alone on Valentine's Day, and many people are, at our age, many of us are alone either by choice or because we've lost a spouse or a partner, either through death or separation or divorce. So being alone on Valentine's Day can feel sad. And again, allow yourself to feel that sadness, but don't live there. Give yourself a moment or two to acknowledge your sadness, and then be kind to yourself. Treat yourself. Treat yourself the same way you would a partner. So give yourself the gift of the Valentine's box. You can probably buy them quite inexpensively today or tomorrow. Give yourself flowers. Treat yourself to something that if someone were in your life, you would want them to give you. You are that person that can give to yourself. Practice gratitude. Reflect on the positive aspects of your life and the people you care about. And they don't all have to be love interests. They can be people that you're happy are in your life. Call a friend and tell them, happy Valentine's Day. You make my life special. So you're my Valentine today, among other ways of being a Valentine. Do some self-care activities. Consider a spa day. I have a friend who's been a widow for quite a few years, and on Valentine's Day, she always goes for a massage. She books it ahead of time, and she says, it is my Valentine's gift. So the person giving her the massage doesn't know that the Valentine gift came from somebody else or herself, but she pampers herself on that one day. And it's something that she looks forward to rather than always focusing on what she doesn't have. Cook a nice meal, use the good dishes, put a candle on, play music, your favorite music. One of my clients said to me, one of the things that she learned after becoming divorced was that she and her spouse didn't have the same taste in music. So one of the unexpected benefits of being alone was that she could play whatever music she wanted to and didn't have to think about the other person's feelings. So think about, treating yourself to something that's special to you. Take a relaxing bath or read that book that you've always wanted to read, but you're always so busy that you never quite get started on it. Maybe Valentine's Day tomorrow is the day you pick that book up and you do nothing but read all day. That would be like a delicious day for me. Connect with other loved ones, reach out to friends, families, maybe spend some time together. Many widows spend Valentine's Day and many other occasions sharing together. And some of the groups that I know of will reminisce about the losses they've experienced for a certain amount of time. And then they make a break and say, okay, now, how do we live the rest of our lives where we are right now? And that includes being kind to yourself and all the other things that we talked about. Plan something fun. We talked a little bit about that. Watching a movie, trying a new hobby, whatever it is that makes your day feel special. So that's the groundwork for our job for learning how to be kind and love ourselves. And so this is the end of our formal presentation, but the rest of the time, For those who are on live, we will talk about how you celebrate Valentine's, how you become your own Valentine's. The next portion will not be recorded so that you can feel free to express whatever you feel.